Assalamu alaikum. Today we will gonna be presented our presentation. The presentation topic is the existential significance of the digital divide for America's historically underserved populations. We are Mohammad Mainuddin, Akash Chandra Devnath and Moon Das under the Iftikhar Alam Ifat Sir, lecturer of IIT NSTU. Here is the contents of our presentation. Now, what is digital divide? It describes the technology divide or gap between the country's demographic groups and economic areas. It is a technical, social, and economic issue which covers the difference in availability and use of modern technology. The divide the people experience can depend on many aspects such as age, status, and locations. Many people believe that the digital divide refers merely to internet access, but it can refer to access to several forms of modern technology, including telephones, televisions, personal computers, and interaction human and computers has greatly increased as we embark on the 21st century. The ability to access the computer and the internet has become increasingly important to completely immerse oneself in the economic, political, and social aspects of on just America, part of the world. However, not everyone has access to this technology. The idea of digital divide refers to the growing gap between the unprivileged members of society, especially the poor, rural, elderly, and handicapped portion of the population who do not have access to the computer or the internet, and the wealthy, middle class, and young Americans living the urban areas who have access. Here is the digital divide impact factor. We see it's the critical analysis, critical analysis of digital divide. The number of Americans with access the computers and the internet continues to soar on rate. There are many factors. The approach of use the technology for fear of technology or telephones, lack of motivation or objects, the cultural, the family background, income and income educations, the inethnicity and language, non-English speaking, social factor, that's old man and young man, and disability versus fit man, the literacy skill, and the economic factor, the under the development nation versus the first world countries, and the poverty, unaffordability, lack of international investment and funding, the poorer countries, and rural areas, suburban areas, under the development nation versus first world countries.
Thank you, Mainuddin. My friend Mainuddin talked about the globally responsible factors of digital divide precisely. Now I will talk about the factors that are responsible for digital divide in the United States. First of all, socioeconomic factor. As we know, socioeconomic factors of a country which reflects its development and its financial and organizational ability. While 64% of Americans have access to broadband, low-income families like African American and Hispanic households and disabled Americans are being left behind in the digital divide. Um, in this comparison chart, there is a clear divide among various ethnic groups. In this comparison chart, we see here that those income rate is low. Here, their uses of computer percentage is also low. And those income rate is high, their uses of computer percentage is also high. Here is another comparison chart at here there we saw here that the percentage of US households using the internet by race or origin. At the same time, the differences in computer usage grew by 39.2% between white and black households and by 42.6% between white and Hispanic households in the period between 1994 and 1998. Um, uh, we see that interestingly race affects the amount of computers in the schools. Schools with a higher percentage of minorities have fewer computers, whereas those with a lower percentage of minorities have a greater number of computers. With the regard to internet access, black and Hispanic households are falling even further behind access by white households, grew by 37.6% between 1997 and 1998. The anti-IA study also demonstrated the racial disparities in internet access exist irrespective of income. In a cultural study to determine reasons for the divide other than income, the Hispanic, African American, and Asian American communities are studied. And next, rural factor. 28% of rural Americans have no access to broadband. 41% Americans schools have no access to high-speed internet. 75% of Americans have no choice in high-end broadband provider. Next, age factor is a factor that tells us if an individual has used the internet before. Adults age 16 to 24, almost 99% has used the internet. Adults 75 and older has increased about 13% since 2011. All older adults will not have the same skill as younger adults because younger adults have been using longer and have developed more skills. Americans 55 and older have always shown the lowest level of broadband users, while Americans ages 18 to 24 have exhibited the highest level of usage in 2011. 3.1% of the households 65 years and older, 10.1% of households 45 to 64 years of age, and 11.3% households 16 to 44 years of age connected to the internet at home. Uses rate are increasingly rapidly, but older Americans still have the lowest level of internet connectivity. Here we shown some statistics of S factor. It was found that 97% of 18 to 29 years old in the United States were internet users. Overall, 87% of the US population access the internet. Uh, we see that 18 to 29%, 29 is you spectre is 97% and 30 to 49 and 93%, 50 to 64 88%, and 65 and older 57%. Gender factor. By 2001, women has surpassed men as the majority of the online United States population. Although more women in the United States use the internet than men, there still remain significant gender gaps in the content creation and website development. Next, my friend Akash will discuss about the next portion of this topic. Thank you.
Thank you, Munmundash. Now I'm going to discuss about the remaining part of this presentation about digital divide in America. For trends and gaps, Shaw and Hargitay give a pipeline model where we know that the internet users and the users of there, we know that 78% of American population uses internet by the survey of 2011. But firstly, we see that a user must have here of site to able to contribute to it. Secondly, a user must have visited the site to participate on it. Thirdly, a user must understand that it is possible to make contribution to the site in order to add content. Only once these conditions are met can a user participate on a site. But we can see the figure that the number of internet users is greatly huge of contributed users. Next. Next slide. Now I'm discussing about impact of digital divide. Firstly, impact of digital divide on the economy. We know that telecommunication services boost economic growth. Broad use of the internet enables an economically productive nation. People can engage in online shopping, eliminating the hassle of commuter traffic. Paperless transactions are a convenient approach to creating economic empowerment. The economic gap widens, especially with developing countries which lack adequate ICT integration. Then, impact of digital divide on education. The internet is a rich library of information. More than ever, there are numerous educational platforms where you can learn advanced skills. Access to ICT has been linked to academic success and excellent scientific research. Education empowers the mind. It is crucial to keep up with this dynamic sector for remarkable success to an individual and society. Next slide. Impact of digital divide on social spheres. Internet access drives communication. Social media platforms such as Facebook create engagement, build relationship, and connect us to family and friends. We can access information faster than relying on traditional newspapers. Art and music have been dramatically revolutionized by technology. These are benefits the internet deprived scientists lack. Elimination of the digital divide is essential to empower developing countries. Next slide. Now we are thinking about the solution of the digital divide problems. The digital divide creates new technological barriers between insiders and outsiders. These barriers need to be dismantled through programs that address both the instrumental and social aspects of the divide. Now we can follow some steps which can solve the problems. The steps are: increase affordability, offer financing to help lower income earners afford new technology. Governments can give tariff subsidies to encourage them to buy these digital tools. And next slide. Empowering users. An issue that broadens the digital divide is participation inequality, where users lack the skills to use it. To avoid this, the public needs to be educated on the benefits and value of utilizing the internet and the various resources within it to achieve economic and social growth. The next step is improve the relevance of online content. To encourage internet adoption in rural places, local content and application need to be developed in local languages that can be understood by the local populace. Next slide. Internet infrastructure development. Large-scale, cost-effective solutions that are suited for rural environments have been developed, such as the use of satellite broadband technologies, drones, and Earth orbiting balloons. Address gender gap in internet access. To close this gender gap lies squarely on both government and non-government organizations, which must work together. Addressing the issues of poverty, relevance, and public awareness will also considerably address the plight of women without access to the internet. Next slide. Now, the conclusion of the digital divide in America. In summary, the problem of the digital divide is just a symptom that points us to much deeper problem in our economic development. Once the economic challenges of low education levels, poor infrastructure development, and low quality of life or income levels are addressed, the digital divide will be eliminated. Thank you. Thank you to hear us.